Hi, hello. Oh gosh, this lighting is horrendous. I'm streaming from a slightly different location right now, but we are going to do some pre-holiday sprints. Sorry, my voice just came in through version of the stream that I have up. Okay, it's gone. The evil is defeated. Yeah, so hi, we are going to do a couple of writing sprints because I'm on deadline and I need to get stuff done. And it's just that time of year where I feel so unmotivated and lazy, and I need extrinsic motivation like this to get me going. So that's what we're going to do. If you don't know me, my name is Lindy Jung. I am a science fiction and fantasy author. My debut novel, MOTHSBLOOD, comes out fall 2026. It is an adult dark academia fantasy about alchemists and murder mysteries and all that stuff. What else do I have to plug? Oh, yes, I am also going to France in March on a writing retreat. And if you are interested in going on that, I have a sign up link. It's through a company called Venture, so they're hosting the whole thing. I'm not running anything because that would be atrocious. I would not trust myself to manage a tour like that. Um, anyway, so I figure we can start off. I see a couple of questions in chat, and if anyone wants to drop any other questions, I am happy to answer those as well. Let's see though if I can figure out something with this lighting situation, because this is kind of, this isn't going to work for me. So please pause. I can't tell if that's better or just more sinister. um, but I think that's a little bit better. I don't know why. I have like my mood lighting tube thing back there, and it's so aggressively blue right now, even though I set it to purple. But I'm gonna go ahead and start off by answering questions, see kind of where you guys are at. My question for y'all, if you want to answer in chat, is how have things been going with you this holiday season? Are you on break from work? Are you on break from school? I'm currently on break from my work, which is school, and it is the best thing ever. I'm so happy to be done. It was kind of bittersweet, like sending off all my kids and stuff, but I've needed this break for a really long time. I've desired this break for a really long time. And I see a question from Adam. This question may come off as more abstract, but how much of yourself do you tend to put into your world building, i.e., when you pick out or invent the overall setting? How self-conscious are you to its reflection on your own experience? I peeped this question earlier, and I really like it. So thank you, Adam, for the question. As a fantasy writer, I think that like a lot of my world building tends to come from like that initial spark for a world will come from sort of a self-indulgent place. Like it's more like, what am I interested in? For example, when I was building the secondary world for Project Tiger, which is a young adult fantasy that died on submission, but still had a ton of fun writing it, I was like hyperfixating on Korean mythology. So a lot of Korean folklore and a little bit of history made its way into the world. And that one, I went into it thinking this is going to be a very Korean inspired world, but I ended up focusing a lot more on the aspect of the culture that was interesting me at the time. And then when it comes to actually fully fleshing out, developing those worlds off of that initial spark, I would say that for me, I think it's always very important to think consciously of what I may not have experienced. Like I've mentioned this before. I do think that a lot of writers in the traditional publishing space, because writing is something that you need free time and certain resources to be able to develop as a skill to get to that professional level. I truly do think that there is a little bit of a blind spot in terms of class specifically. And you can see this in the way that a lot of modern writers write about poverty. I don't know if this is just something that I believe, but I swear I've noticed it. And so it's little things like that, like my interactions with class and my interactions with cultural identity. I really try to think about those aspects carefully as I'm developing a world, not in like I'm trying to not step on any toes way, but just expanding my viewpoint as much as possible, either through talking to people or considering my own experiences or reading. I think is very important because we tend to have such specific bubbles that we live in as people. I think in order to build a world, you really need to expand that bubble as much as you can as an individual person. So that's definitely something I take into consideration. Everything is going to differ. Like, for example, right now I'm writing Project Crips, which is a secondary world fantasy, and it's very different from our world. I'd say that most of the secondary worlds I write are going to be quite different from our world. I just find that more fun. But the main characters and a lot of the way that they interact with the world is from a lens of extreme prestige. Like most of the main characters are of the noble class, and that's not something I've interacted with. We don't really have nobility in the US, and if we do, I don't know them personally. So considering like what a life lived in such sheltered luxury was a big part of my world building. Cool. I hope that wasn't just an insane ramble. I do think that, like, as fantasy writers and sci-fi writers, you don't get a free pass for ignorance. I love it when fantasy feels richly textured by the author's experiences, but also feels connected to the real world, like grounded in the real world, not just necessarily because it's set in a world resembling our own or in our world, but because the author clearly put like time and effort into understanding nuances like cultural identity and politics and, you know, class and class structures and government and all that stuff. I think that is my favorite kind of fantasy. I'm so glad I kept checking my notifications. It kept saying wait till 4 p.m. Yeah, I kicked off a little bit early because I just felt like it. Also because I actually want to get writing done today. I'm not French, but it is my first language and the one I write in. Nice. Would be so amazing going on a writing retreat with you, but I'll probably be too busy during that time. That is okay. You know, if you can make it amazing, if not, I'm not going to hold it against anyone. I just think it's such a special opportunity. I still can't believe I'm being allowed to host something like this with regards to the French writing retreat. So I'm like screaming it off the rooftops because I'm so excited to go. Okay, question from Marianne. Do you keep a personal lexicon for words you like to use in your writing or even for specific projects as opposed to using a thesaurus? I do. I have a list in my notes app. It is actually 3 lists: adjectives, verbs, and nouns. And every time I find a word I like, there's probably a couple hundred words in each list. I throw it on there. And sometimes if I'm like, I could spruce up that word, I just scroll through the list. I would say that happens maybe once a page where I just want to pull a fancy word from my list of words I like. Will you bring back editing your subs first few pages? I stumbled onto that video and it was very insightful. So I really, really want to. Like, I have been wanting to do another video like this for so long because I find them incredibly fun and I always learn a lot from them, as well as, you know, it's nice to be able to help out subs. However, that being said, I am so low on time and energy lately. Like, I have a really intense full-time job now that I just started in September. I am on deadline for books, and I realistically think it'll be a while before I'm able to edit again. Like, I'm not even really beta reading anymore, which was one of my favorite things to do for the writing community and for my friends. Like, everyone who's asked me to beta read, almost everyone, I've had to say no because of time. So I just think that I wouldn't be able to do this within a reasonable time frame and to the degree of, you know, detail and specificity and helpfulness that I'd want to. However, that being said, For the writing retreat, everyone who comes on the retreat gets a critique from me. So I would maybe ask a couple of those folks if they would be down to have their work shared in a video like this. But yeah, it really is kind of up in the air. Okay, as a fellow ADHDer, how do you manage analysis paralysis / executive dysfunction when it comes to your writing? Girl, if I have not figured out a way to do this yet, I will say that executive dysfunction is not one of my biggest problems. It's usually maintaining focus versus starting things. Maybe I don't have the right definition of executive dysfunction, but I usually don't have an issue starting things. I have a really big issue finishing them, which I guess plays into executive dysfunction as well. Really, the way to do it is delusion. And for me, a lot of extrinsic motivation. I think YouTube has been incredibly helpful in that regard. Obviously, doesn't work for everyone. Would not recommend it for everyone, but knowing that there are some eyes on me and also being able to do things like this, engage in community, it has helped give me that like extra push. Oh, I'm so sad your videos never show up on my feed. I have to keep checking your channel every week or so. Can't wait for MOTHSBLOOD. The algorithm has definitely been playing some games with me. Not that I care, and also I appreciate you for checking, but my videos do not get picked up by the algorithm anymore. It's very interesting. I frankly like don't care enough to try and figure out why. I think it's one of those things that will just randomly change at some point. But yeah. Okay, Big Undead Kid says, could you share your tips for looking / auditing alpha / beta readers? Still new to the concept and very worried about if I should write NDAs before letting people read. No, you don't need an NDA. I don't know why that would be necessary, but I would say that a good way to audit is to just do like a first couple pages or first chapter swap. You don't have to give them the whole book or short story or whatever. Just give them a snippet of your work and have them critique and vice versa and see if you're a fit. I think that's a really easy way to kind of like root through, make sure people are giving you the feedback you need to improve your work, and also make sure you're not accidentally interacting with anyone very weird who says very out-of-pocket things, because those people do exist in the writing world. Okay. I think maybe we are good to do a... Oh, I didn't even put the timer in. Whoops. So I'm thinking 30. If you guys are good for 30, let me know. While you guys are deciding, I have to show my nails. Wait, I don't even know if they'll play. I have, as of like a week and a half ago, after years of not painting my nails because I was a rock climber and like my nails just always looked messed up, I've gotten really into indie nail polishes. This one is a magnetic that I got yesterday for an early Christmas gift. And look at how pretty it is. Oh my gosh. It looks even better in like flash or real light, but I think it looks so nice in low light. I don't know if you guys can even see. But I am now accumulating nail polishes at a disturbing rate. I need to be stopped. But I've also made a deal with myself that I cannot get a new order until I finish my book. Okay, it looks like 30 is good for everyone, so I am going to go ahead and start the timer. See you guys on the other side. That's the bell, guys. All right. We are back. Let me make myself big. I like sank into my seat during the course of that. I just got a little bit too comfortable with my heated blanket here. Let me know how you guys did. I am currently on chapter 5 of my. Maybe I should explain what I'm doing. Let me explain what I'm doing. So I had been writing draft 0.75 of Project Crips, which is the adult gothic fantasy with a touch of romance that I have been working on, hoping it'll be my sophomore novel. It is going fine. It is going fine. However, I really recently realized that draft 0.75 was like as done as it was going to be, which is to say it wasn't done, but I couldn't write in it anymore. I wanted to actually write in my clean draft. So I'm in Act 1 of Draft 1, and I'm about 18,360. I'm exactly 18,360 words into Draft 1. I can hear my cat screaming outside, and I don't know what she could possibly want from me right now, but that's okay. I might have to feed them in like 30 minutes. Shh. Jeez. And where was I? And it's going pretty well. Now that I'm on winter break, I have a lot more time to dedicate to it. Unfortunately, or it's a good thing, but I am at the same time on deadline with MOTHSBLOOD because I have to do my first round of proofreading. I just got my past pages in, like right before everyone split up for break in publishing. And yeah, I mean, it's super cool. I've read this book 1,000 times and I'm starting to get really sick of it, but it is very cool to see my book like formatted like an actual book with like the chapter titles. All my chapter titles are in French. Everything is like, I don't know, pretty, the page numbers. There's that big first letter of each chapter. I don't know what that's called. And it is just incredibly cool to see my book becoming more and more book-shaped. We're also pretty close to the end of developing both the US and UK covers that are going to be like the main covers for the book. So hopefully we get to announce those soon or share those soon. I've heard that MOTHSBLOOD will be on Goodreads in like January-ish, so start of 2026. So obviously when that happens, I'll let everyone know. But yeah, it's it's going to be a book. It's real. It wasn't a hallucination that I made up in my head. It's going to be a book with formatting and a cover and a really long acknowledgments page. I wrote maybe like 4 pages of acknowledgments and I still have some like placeholders in there because there are folks in publishing I still want to thank. Anyway, I'm getting so off topic. But yeah, in short, I am on deadline for MOTHSBLOOD. Proofreads due January 15th, and I'm also on deadline for Crips. So it's I'm having such a fun winter break. It's going to be so relaxing. Okay, saying hi to some folks. Hi, Becca, if you're still here. Love you so much. Erica says, okay, Lynn, I'll stop procrastinating writing all day and join in. But first coffee, very valid. We're definitely going to do some more sprints. Kelly is here. Hi, Kelly. And Sierra is here. Hi, Sierra. Lots of friends in here. Oh, question from SG. How did you stay sane on sub? I think it's okay to be crazy on sub. For those of you who don't know, sub is short for submission, which is when your literary agent sends your book out to publishers. And it's freaking terrifying. No, I was not sane on sub. I was crazy, but it like made it better that I had been on sub before and I'd had maybe some of like 2 of the worst sub experiences of all time where I got some like really, honestly, looking back, a little bit unnecessarily cruel rejections. Like I'm glad the books that I went on sub with first did not get published. I think my career would be in a very different place if I'd been published at that stage. But like the way some people spoke to me could be a little bit more professional. And also my second round of sub was like full ghosting. When I went on sub with Tiger, I don't think more than a handful of editors got back to us. So I'd already had 2 of like the really tough, I'd had 2 tough sub experiences. One that went on for like almost 3 years, if my math is right. Another that just wasn't fun. because I felt like I was straight up being ignored. But it's okay to be crazy because it's not like a fun thing at all. It's very valid to feel like you are off kilter, like you're being judged, like you are being treated in a way that honestly, a lot of the time, publishing almost feels unprofessional in the way that some people get treated. I think it's okay to just be a little bit crazy. Not crazy toward people, but if you need to cyberstalk in your own time, if you need to get really into a sport, if you need to get a hyperfixation, do all those things. Just don't bother anyone else. Black Sunlight says, "Oh, I finished editing the book I was writing in Lynn's last stream, so what I'm working on now is brainstorming my next project." Wait, that's so cool that you got to finish editing the book during that. Yes, for brainstorming. I wish I were in the brainstorming stage all the time. I guess I kind of am because I'm kind of always marinating, but it is my favorite part of the process, other than revising. I love revisions. You have a heated blanket. Yes, one of the most necessary things of my life in a cold climate. Going full shrimp. I'm always going full shrimp. I have to like catch myself because it's low-key embarrassing. I have scoliosis too. I'm full of problems. But if I do not watch myself, I will be at work like straight like gremlin mode over the keyboard, and it is not cute, guys. It's not cute. At least not in public. Ari's here. Hello, Ari. Oh my gosh, so many friends here. How do you edit the moment you're done with your first draft? I'm almost there and I'm getting stressed. I edit as I go because I like to revise. So I guess for me, there's not really a transition or a conscious moment of like, oh, I'm in revision mode now. It's just, oh, okay, I'm going to keep revising and I can stop drafting. But I think everyone has a different relationship with the process. I mean, I know everyone has a different relationship with the process. So yeah, just, if it helps to maybe go back and edit your first chapter, even though you're not done with your first draft, you can do that. There are no rules. I am everyone's devil on the shoulder. I will constantly give advice that's like not really advice and might, I don't know. It goes against, I feel like a lot of what I have to say about writing goes against a lot of the popular rhetoric around writing. Okay. All right, anyone have any questions? I don't know, about MOTHSBLOOD or France trip or anything coming up. Let me know what your word count has looked like. I think I got close to 1K in the last 30 minutes. I just don't feel like writing yet, so I'm gonna wait until people ask me questions. This is called wait time in the profession. Ooh. Why does that keep falling out of sync? How did you write all your chapter titles? Oh, hi, Paul. Marianne says, how did you write all your chapter titles in French? What was that process like? They're only like 1 to 2 words each. It was, for some of them that are one word, just a word that fits the chapter. Some of them I pulled from like old French poetry. And yeah, I mean, I do theoretically speak French. I lived in France for a year. So I'm really excited to go back for the first time since I was a teenager for this writing retreat. And yeah, I mean, like, there was definitely a point in my life where my French was stronger than my Korean, but I haven't used French in a really long time. I actually was using French pretty regularly when I was student teaching last year. For my first round of student teaching, I was at a high school and I was in a sheltered class of what we call like newcomers. So mostly kids who were still developing their English, and a lot of the ones from certain parts of West Africa were French speakers. So I used it then, but I was like, oh my gosh, I can no longer speak French very well. What is going on? Sorry, 1 second, guys. I have an interloper. Can you stop? There's no food in here for you. Okay. I'm going to leave the door cracked, but I opened it and she literally ran away from me. So I don't. Yes, can I help you? It's not your dinner time yet. But yeah, French. Need to work on it. Adam says, here's a fun one. Do you ever see your characters as actors? Do you cast certain types or tropes into scenes during the outline stage? Yes. I feel like, hello, do you want to come up? Okay. We have a surprise guest. This is Lou. She's purring. Sorry, I don't mean to make that face. I swear I love my cats, but cats are some of the most annoying creatures in the world. They are annoying. They simply are annoying. I love them, but they are bothersome. They are so bothersome. You are so spoiled. It doesn't help that this is my partner's daughter, basically, and he spoils them. He spoils them so bad. And yes, do I ever see my characters as actors? I feel like I will usually try to find someone in real life, either a model or an actor, who fits. It's like so weird. It's one of those things where I'm like, I have no idea, because I can't picture things very well in my brain, or like at all, especially faces. But I'll know it when I see it. Like if I'm scrolling on Pinterest or wherever, usually Pinterest, now that I'm finally able to turn off the AI mode where they just only recommend AI. And I'll keep looking and I'll be like, that one's close, but not quite it. And it's not even that I have a specific picture in my mind. It's just I'm looking for something that intuitively that person resembles my character. I will usually do this in the early drafting stage when I really want to like have a sense of how the characters move through the world, what they look like. Sometimes there will be a specific person or actor who's in my mind right away. Like for the main male character of Project Crips, it's definitely Dev Patel. He's not a direct, like, I don't think that Dante, this character, looks exactly like Dev Patel, but their vibes are so extremely similar where it's just like, when I think of Dev Patel, I think of like big, sad brown eyes. And that is Dante. So I guess, yeah, I don't know if I cast certain types or tropes into scenes. Do you mean like cast people? I don't know. I think that I like a variety. One of my biggest issues with, remember back in the day when like everyone would like essentially prototype AI generate pictures of their characters and they'd all have the same face with that one app. I don't even know what it's called. That stuff really bothers me. I like it when people look different, look unique, have a certain feature that really stands out and makes them unique. And I want that for my characters, even though they're not real people. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of what I'm going for. CK is here, or I don't know if they're still here, but love you, CK. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Linlan says, I'm new here, so I'd like to know what your book is about. Cool. Yeah, my debut novel, MOTHSBLOOD, is dark academia, which means that it is set in a school. So it's set at a university for alchemists in Paris, hence the French chapter titles. It's an adult fantasy with a 21st century setting with some differences. Like basically alchemy has persisted as this sort of secret science that some people practice. The university secretly teaches alchemy, and the main character is a very ambitious young alchemist who really, really wants certain things, like very badly. And she comes from kind of an underprivileged background. She's sort of looked down upon because she's American and she's not from one of the like alchemy not noble, but richy rich, have been doing alchemy for generations families. She's not a legacy student, essentially. And then as she's in the running for this like school-wide competition to get a certain prestigious thing that'll help her launch her career and all this stuff, the person running it is mysteriously murdered. So that's what kicks it off. So it's about, did you just bite me? See what I mean? Like what is this? What? You're falling. Oh my gosh. So a lot of the main themes are really about, you know, these prestige academic institutions. We're talking like Ivy League, stuff like that. These universities, these institutions with really long histories of not so great stuff that historically have been incredibly biased towards students of color or people of color in general and otherwise marginalized individuals, and navigating those dynamics in the 21st century as a marginalized person. And especially, I didn't even realize this as I was writing it, but subconsciously, especially navigating those relationships, those dynamics as an Asian American, where within our community, we are like from the beginning, we are told that we have to go to a certain type of school, we have to get a certain type of job, we have to hit this class marker in order to be treated as successful. And that entangles with our view of ourselves, which I'm saying as an Asian American woman, to the point where like your self-esteem suffers. I went to public university, and because it wasn't Harvard, because it wasn't Columbia, my self-esteem suffered. And that is a ridiculous notion when the point of university and education in general is not certificate exchange, it's to actually learn something and maybe apply that in the future to something useful. But yeah, so a lot of my feelings about that went into this book. That's what makes it dark academia, not just the school setting, but these concerns I have about the way that we valorize universities that have a long history for no reason, even as marginalized people who are actively harmed in those institutions a lot of the time and have been historically. But yeah, academia. That was a long rant. You can tell that I like think about this stuff a lot as an educator too. Let me see. Wait, I'm kind of like backed up here. But thank you for asking. I am in denial that it's my debut year, but I am very excited for the book to come out. It's so weird how we learn a whole language and then forget it after not using it for a while. Yeah, I hate that. I wish I could just keep it in my brain, but if it's not used, it really does go rusty in a way that not a lot does. But I've also found that when I'm in an environment where I'm speaking one of my non-English languages regularly, then it comes back pretty quickly. I found that recently with Spanish. My Spanish is very bad, don't get me wrong, but I'm a little bit more comfortable conversationally again because I'm just using it a lot. She's so pretty. She is, but she's also like just so, her proportions are kind of messed up. It's whenever I talk about this, it sounds like I'm body shaming my cat. I do this out of a place of love, and also I worked vet med for a really long time. For so long, I was like, she's like overweight, but it's really just that her head is so small and her body is normal size. So she looks big, but she's not like at an unhealthy level. Well, we've been told she needs to lose weight for her health, but overall, she's not that unhealthily chunky. Oh, I saw Monkey Man last year. It was very good. Patel clearly has this skill for directing. I loved Monkey Man. I think I saw it last year too. It's really good. I think it's very underrated. Do you write bios of your characters before outlining and or drafting? I don't really write bios unless I'm asked to for some reason, which sometimes you get asked to, like I've been asked to provide like visual bios of my characters. For me, I just need a set of references to know what they look like visually because I can't just picture it in my head. And then usually if I'm really stuck, if the character isn't coming to me naturally, I'll look into something like Myers-Briggs, which isn't real, or like zodiac signs and stuff like that to try and compartmentalize some of their traits or define them in that way. I think that's also helpful for, I'm so sorry, there's cat hair in my mouth. That's also helpful for writing characters that are different from me because I have a very specific Myers-Briggs and a very specific zodiac sign. So writing characters that are like a Capricorn or an INFJ, like those characters end up very different from me. But It's just for character work. I promise I don't believe in that stuff. Can you speak more to the Twitter/Pinterest boards you and Chris made? I thought the idea is really cool. Was it a contest thing or a personal challenge? I don't know what this is referring to. Maybe mood boards. We just do that for fun usually. I don't know about any contests for mood boards. But yeah, it's just getting images that resemble your book, making something pretty and graphic out of it. Paul says, congrats on making through the first half of full-time teaching. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I can't believe it's already winter break. That went by really fast. I've been having a really good time at my job, and I will leave it at that. Is it Babel or Babel? Please tell me. I'm going to say Babel. Was Babel about the subject? I haven't had the chance to read it, but I heard it was about issues in academia. So I haven't read the whole thing. If I'm being completely honest, I need to be in the right mindset for it. From what I can gather, Babel is a bit more broad scope. I think it has a historical setting, and it also deals a lot more directly with like colonialism as a theme, as opposed to just academia. It's like academia as tools of colonialism. So it's another angle of dark academia and exploring themes like that. I would say that from my understanding of Babel, Moth's Blood, I think, has a closer lens and a more personal lens than Babel. But I do think, you know, my publisher says this as well. Like, if you enjoy Babel, you're probably going to like Moth's Blood as well. But they are doing slightly different things. I don't know. It feels weird to like speak an R.F. Kuang book in the same breath as my own, especially one I haven't finished reading yet. But that is kind of the vibe of the marketing. Adam says, I used to know Korean as part of my chef's work on a cruise ship. Okay, that's some lore. The most I've retained 15 plus years later is yangpa, more onion. I'm sorry to say that yangpa just means onion. So they were just yelling onion at you. Marianne says, I love using MBTI and Enneagram as a starting point. They are super useful, like character building tools. I think that if it was just kept at that, they would be amazing. Because it's so nice to have these concepts in your mind of, okay, this is the general description of an ENFP or whatever, and build from there. Babel's an interesting one for me, since as a geography teacher, it's so interesting. Yeah, that would be an interesting lens to read that book through. All right. Are we ready for another 30 minutes? Oh, there we go. Let me know if 30 minutes sounds good. I'm going to show you guys my nail polish I got, because I can't stop myself. This is, am I going to sneeze? No, I'm fine. This is what's on my nails right now. It is called Bloodbender. It's like an Avatar The Last Airbender themed nail polish from a brand called Mooncat. And it's so insanely beautiful. Like, it's a magnetic polish. This is not sponsored. I'm just really hyper fixating on nail polish right now. But there's so much cool nail polish technology now. Like, since I was a kid, things have changed so much. Okay, sounds like we're good for 30. I'm going to start the timer. Good luck. I was muted that whole time. Hey, that's time. Feel free to drop some questions. I know. I hear you. I see the comments. It's winter break. I don't have brain cells. Okay, so I only got like 200 words in that sprint, but it's fine. Let me know how you guys did. Drop any questions if you have them. I was saying something, but I forgot what I was saying because I got distracted by the fact that I had muted myself. What? Oh, I'm really struggling with the scene, actually. So I'm going to talk about it because I am a verbal processor, so I need to chat it through. So this scene was originally like a hunt, and then I decided to move that because it's very conflict rich into a later part of the book when we have more of a footing on the different characters. I want to introduce most of the main players in a softer way, in a softer lens, before I kind of throw them into this high conflict situation. So I am now trying to put in a different scene where Alessia, the main character, is like negotiating with one of the more important secondary characters and trying to push her agenda, trying to get something out of that character. And it's just a lot of like standing around and talking. I need them to do something else. I need something else to be happening here. They are currently just standing and trying to like negotiate and figure each other out because there's a lot that is going unsaid, and that's fun. But something needs to be happening physically. I am so bored. I don't want to be bored as I'm writing this. I need something else to be going on. And it can't just be like mental three-dimensional chess. It's got to be something physical. I'm wondering if this kind of interpersonal conflict can be layered over a smaller physical conflict. Like, I don't know. They're currently in the library. Maybe it's... Ooh. Oh, I got it. I got it. I think. Wait. She's trying to get the... trying to get the... Okay. There we go. I think. We'll see if that works. I just like wrote a little note for myself for the blocking of it, but or the staging or whatever. For how long we're still sprinting, I have to go to see a movie. I'm telling people that I'm giving James Cameron 6 hours of my life because we're driving an hour to Madison. The movie is 3.5 hours long, and we're driving an hour back. Oh, and there's credits. So that's 6 hours of my life, isn't it, that I'm giving to James Cameron for his Avatar movie, which I don't really like. I don't really care about it, but Alex wants to see it so bad, so I guess we're going. The things you do for love, you know? Becca says, I fear I've caught the very end of the sprint, but are there any projects you're excited to jump into once you're done with your darker tone books like Crypts and Moths? I think I know what Crypts is a duology, so I guess it would be Moths, and then Crypts 2, Electric Boogaloo. I think I want to write Project Green, which is... I don't know. The tone of this project keeps jumping around. It's almost like developing into a political satire that's mixed with a fairy tale, that's mixed with intergenerational trauma. It's set in a small Midwestern town that gets snowed in, and weird stuff is happening. And it's also part horror story. So it would be very dark, but it's like kind of wacky, kind of zany. There's also a project that I think before I kind of started writing these very dark, kind of more cerebral, heavily thematic books like Crypts and Moths, I wrote funny. Like, I wrote very funny, voicey young adult. I don't want to write young adult anymore. Honestly, if anything, if I were to write kid lit, it would be middle grade at this point because of, my experiences as a teacher, and it would probably be in the form of graphic novels because that is the most accessible reading format for a lot of kids, especially with our US reading level crisis and that kind of stuff. So if I want my stories to be accessible for kids, I would go graphic novels. However, other than my vague interest in graphic novels for children, there is a comedic paranormal... I don't even know. The closest thing I can think of in terms of comp titles would be like those, like the Jim Butcher Harry Styles. His name is Harry. He's a wizard. The Jim Butcher Dresden Files. Yes. Okay. It would almost be like that, except actually like feminist. I read those as a kid, and even then I was like, this is kind of crazy that you would put this on the page. They're very fun, but it would be that kind of like comedically toned supernatural crap is happening, paranormal, and it is this concept, these characters specifically have been living in my brain since I was a teenager. There are demons that kind of act like a disease, and there are the people that handle demons, and then there is this main character who's an intermediary who's like a almost a bond, like a bail bonds person for demons, where she makes sure that the contracts that demons sign with people get fulfilled. And she gets like pulled into this mystery in her old life, and she is just like mullet Korean American from Los Angeles. Like, it sounds like I'm describing myself, but just a very funny, dry, has been through so much that she just cannot give an F anymore kind of main character, navigating this sort of like insane terrain of just demons that are very eldritch, that are very alien and unknown to us and can do some really horrible things. And she's just like, just very laissez-faire, blasé about it. So that would be something. I also have a food truck rom-com that I've been developing forever. I feel like I could write this in a summer. And that is one where publishing is weird in that you can't really publish more than one of the same genre in a year. Like, as an adult fantasy writer currently, I can have one per year, if that's like the most I can do. I want to do less than that because I can't keep up with that. But with a rom-com for adults, it could kind of go out anytime because I don't want to write another one of those. But that one is really, I say it's a rom-com, but it's my love letter to food, and specifically food as this cultural tie that for a lot of diaspora or like, you know, third culture kids is our main tie and main relationship with our heritage culture. Like, name a Korean American who doesn't love Korean food, seriously. So it's my homage to that, food as this like cultural grounding point for diaspora kids, and also food as this language that is shared between diaspora kids and their immigrant parents, and also the specific Korean American food culture of Los Angeles that has developed, like, me personally, but LA is the source of Korean barbecue. It is the source of so many different innovations in Korean food and has really come to shape how Korean food is viewed and consumed in America today. And also my homage to like fusion food and this blend of cultures I grew up in, growing up in Southern California. And yeah, it's a lot more that than like the rom-com aspect, but it is also a rom-com, and that one is also very funny, I think. Becca's also seeing Avatar. Let me know how it is. It's so long. I can't do it. I'm gonna fall asleep. I feel so bad, but if I have nachos and snacks and stuff, like, I'll be fine. Why would you let him drag you to part 3 of Cameron's caviar vomit? Be nicer to yourself. Because he loves it and he loves film and I love him, so I will go with him. I've watched so much stuff for this man, and a lot of it has been very good. Like, my partner has good taste. He fully admits that like Avatar is not the pinnacle of cinema, but he wants to watch it anyway. When I get stuck, I either make D&D character sheets or use those story engine cards I was gifted. Do you use similar methods to get out of being stuck? No, I usually just talk. But I think those are very valid devices. Yeah, like any tools that work for you, more power to you. I also saw a question up here. Oh, what app do you use to write with? I tried Scrivener. I got a comment once that was like, I downloaded Scrivener because of you. I have like never used Scrivener. I have it, and I probably mentioned it in early videos, but like, I can't use it because it's too many bells and whistles and it distracts me from the writing. And sorry, I just saw a really funny comment pop up. I need to stay on task. So I use Google Docs only because I also don't want to pay for Microsoft Word, and I use multiple computers because I move around a lot. So I have my desktop and I have my laptop. So the Google Docs, like being able to access my doc from anywhere, is really necessary, and I don't want to pay Microsoft a subscription fee to do that. Yeah. Becca says I would crush it in the middle grade genre. Thank you. We do need more middle grade books, and it disgusts me and angers me that publishing is like refusing to invest in this because it's not profitable. But like, shut up. Like, what? It's for kids. You want kids to read or no? I don't understand. And then we complain about the literacy crisis. Publishing, please invest in middle grade. I'm so serious. I'm tired of it. Graphic novels and audiobooks. There are not enough. I cannot count the number of times where I've been surprised that there was not an audiobook for a middle grade title. Like, what are you talking about? It is ridiculous. I also want more translated books, more bilingual books. We need more books and more like diverse forms of literature for these kids. It's pissing me off. Also very excited for your book as a chemistry/biochem grad who loves alchemy and dark mysteries too. I hope you love it. I personally I almost failed chemistry, so please don't expect any accuracy on anything chemistry related, although it does come up a couple times in MOTHSBLOOD. Yeah, I passed like the normal chemistry, like Gen Chem in college, barely. Like I only passed because a 40% was a C somehow because of the curve. And then OChem, I took 1/4 of it and I just gave up. I could not do it. I was like, I don't need to be a doctor actually. So I stopped. Have you tried Ellipsis? It's similar to Google Docs as you can access it from any device, and they have a strong anti-AI stance. Ooh, I will look that up right now. As long as it's free, I'll use it. I just don't believe in paying for things. I don't know. I mean, I guess technically it could be like a write-off and stuff. Okay, it's not loading, but I will look into it once it does. I am very like, I don't want to give Google my time of, like, even the time of day. Like, I'm not interested in doing that. What is wrong with this website? Okay. Ooh, this looks like Scrivener, but I don't mind that. I will say this might be too many bells and whistles for me. Like if I could just write on pen and paper without it taking 1,000 years and also harming my hands, then I would. I really just can't handle any additional things, but I will look into it and see. Oh, wow. It seems like Ellipsis is really popular. This is what I get for not being on social media. I just don't hear about things ever. Preaching to the choir, trying to keep the reader's spark alive with my siblings and finding books and not using my Y2K faves has been a tiny bit difficult. Yes. Yep. I will say that, like, I think librarians, like children's librarians, specifically people who help with like the children's section of libraries, are going to be really wonderful for recommendations and knowing what kids are reading. But I have that bias also because I work in a school and we have a really wonderful librarian. Okay, final question for the day from Adam. Do you have a go-to technique for making conversations more natural? I'm a playwright, so I always look for new ways to avoid dialogue sounding scripted. I don't know. I think that my dialogue always sounds a little bit not the way that people talk. But for me, dialogue is just an extension of prose writing itself. So I know being a playwright, it's kind of a different ballgame, but for, prose writing and not script writing and stuff like that, dialogue is no different from any other line you're writing, right? You put in the same amount of consideration. You want the flow to be a certain way. The rhythm of it is important. And I think I focus on rhythm before does this sound like what an actual person would say, because a lot of the times I'm writing in these fantasy contexts, historical contexts, pretentious alchemy grad student contexts where they're not really talking like regular people. They're talking kind of weird, kind of fancy. It's honestly something I haven't thought about in a while. Ooh, proton. Chem person doesn't equal smart chem person. Well, hey, biochem, that's like a hard type of chem. That's cool. You know, you'd have to be at least pretty smart at chemistry to get there. Ooh, yes, it can be very subjective. Some people like elevated reality and dialogue. Others prefer grounded dialogue. I think it is very subjective in terms of people's preference as readers, but also like it very much depends on genre, on context, on the tone you're trying to set, and on the characters who are talking as well. Like there are a lot of factors that go in, but that's also what makes it fun. I don't know. I recently did or I was in a collab where everyone gave their favorite piece of writing advice for the year. And I was like, I don't even know if I have a favorite writing advice, because what even is writing advice? Do any of us even know what we're doing, how to tell other people or communicate to other people how to do the craft of writing when it is so personal? Like in the same way that no two people talk the same, no two people story tell in the same way. Yeah. Okay, another vote for ellipsis. Okay, as long as it's simple, I can do it. I'm a grandmother. It's not okay. Like I don't know anything about technology anymore. It evolved faster than I could keep up. Honestly, I'm signing up right now. You guys have convinced me. It's not hard to convince me of anything ever, but hey, you know, I've been looking for an alternative. As long as it can convert to docx, that's fine. What's actually has been like angering me lately, I'm not going to say anger because that's a strong word for, I don't really get angry, but something that kind of irritated me recently was that my proofreading for MOTHSBLOOD, I have to, like I'm required to use Adobe Acrobat, which I've never used before for anything, but it's because at the proofreading stage, like my past pages are a PDF. So in order to proofread, I need to be able to add comments and edit a PDF. So I have to use Adobe Acrobat. It took me 3 days just to figure out how to use it. I still don't know if I'm doing it right, but I've never used it before. For a long time, I was like, I have to pay for the subscription. Like, I thought I had to pay $20 a month for it. I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, what? You pay for me or my publisher. But turns out you can do it for free. I just was like not figuring that out because I'm bad at technology. But I was like, this is kind of silly. This is ridiculous. But I've never had like an office type job. I've always had jobs that are very hands-on, don't require a lot of tech. Like my current job is the biggest tech requirement of any job I've ever had, and it's not that much. So all the things like Adobe Acrobat, any of the Adobes, I never learned how to use. I can use Google Sheets. Yeah. Okay, Adam is now calling me grandma. Flashback to talking about how the kids call me Unk in the last stream. Oh my gosh. But I am a grandma, like, and I'm proud. I don't want to be technologically savvy. I like to read paper books. I like to play on my PS5. That's technology. That's not a good example. I like to keep things simple. Lately, I've been wanting to spend as much time away from a screen as possible. Adobe begs to be pirated with their anti-consumer ways. Yeah, it's just anti-consumer is pro-capitalist. They just want to scrape all of the money they can out of people, and then these companies, you know, enable that by forcing people to use them. This, no shade toward my publisher. They're very lovely. I think this is a reasonable expectation, especially because I was able to access the software for free. I just thought it was very funny that I was like, I've never used this before, and now I have to do it or I'm cooked. Offline girly at heart, yeah. It's important to be offline. I think that we should all be more offline in this world. I truly believe that. All right. I think that is my signal. Sorry that we only did 2 sprints, but I hope you guys got some productive writing done. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming along. I know the start time changed a little bit. That may have thrown some folks off, but I forgot that I was giving 6 hours of my life to James Cameron today. So, I had to adjust my schedule accordingly. I appreciate you all. Happy holidays if you are currently celebrating. Is Hanukkah still going? I know it started a couple of days ago. Has it been 8 days? No, it hasn't. And also, Merry Christmas for those who celebrate that. And if you don't celebrate any of them, happy winter season. I know some people who celebrate solstice as well, so happy solstice. Have a wonderful day regardless of what you're up to the next couple days. I'm getting so many texts. Bye. Love you all.